Today, more than 8 billion people call Earth home. But what if I told you there was a time when our entire species may have been reduced to just a few thousand breeding individuals? One disaster, one disease, one failed generation, and none of us would exist today. Nearly 900,000 years ago, our ancestors lived across parts of Africa during a time of dramatic environmental change. They hunted, gathered, and adapted to an unpredictable world, but something far greater was about to test their survival. The climate grew colder and drier. Rain became scarce. Forests shrank. Food became harder to find. As ecosystems collapsed, small human groups became isolated from one another, each struggling to survive in an increasingly hostile world. Generation after generation, the human population continued shrinking. Communities disappeared. Families were lost. Across an entire continent, only scattered bands of survivors remained, separated by immense distances and fighting the same unforgiving environment. How do we know humanity may have come so close to extinction? Not from ancient writings, there were none, but from our own DNA. Hidden within our genes are clues that suggest our ancestors passed through an extraordinary population bottleneck, one that may have left only a few thousand breeding humans to carry our species into the future. Scientists believe dramatic climate change may have pushed humanity to the edge. As rainfall declined and habitats disappeared, food became increasingly scarce. Every day became a battle against hunger, thirst, and an environment growing more hostile with each passing season. Families became separated by hundreds of kilometers. Entire groups may have vanished without ever meeting another human again. With so few survivors scattered across such a vast landscape, every birth and every death could shape the future of our species. Hundreds of thousands of years later, scientists discovered something extraordinary hidden inside our DNA. Genetic patterns suggest our ancestors passed through an extreme population bottleneck. Some researchers estimate that the number of breeding individuals may have fallen to around 2,000, though the exact figure and its cause remain the subject of ongoing scientific debate. If these estimates are correct, humanity came astonishingly close to disappearing forever. A single disease, a harsher climate, or another failed generation might have ended our story before it truly began. Yet against incredible odds, those few survivors endured. Then, slowly, the world began to change. The climate stabilized, food became more abundant, and the descendants of those few surviving groups started growing in number. They had no idea their survival would shape the future of every human being who would ever live. Against impossible odds, the survivors caught a break. The climate slowly became more stable. Rain returned, rivers flowed once again. Animals migrated back into recovering ecosystems, bringing with them something humanity desperately needed: hope. Generation after generation, the population slowly began to recover. Every child born increased humanity's chances of survival. Every successful hunt meant another family would live to see tomorrow. Our ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest. They survived because they adapted together. Thousands of generations later, the descendants of those survivors spread across the world. They crossed deserts, climbed mountains, sailed across oceans, and eventually reached every continent. Every nation, every culture, and every family today traces its story back to those ancient people who refused to give up. Despite our differences, every person alive today carries the legacy of those ancient survivors. Their story lives inside our DNA, connecting billions of people across every continent through one remarkable journey of survival. If the bottleneck hypothesis is correct, then every achievement in human history, from the first campfire to the International Space Station, was only possible because a tiny population survived one of the darkest chapters our species ever faced. Humanity's greatest superpower has never been strength. It has always been resilience. In 2023, researchers analyzing modern human genetics proposed that our ancestors may have passed through an extreme population bottleneck around 900,000 years ago. Their findings suggest that the number of breeding individuals may have dropped to roughly 1,300 to 2,000. It's a fascinating hypothesis, but scientists are still investigating exactly what happened and why. Science is always evolving. New discoveries can strengthen, refine, or challenge existing ideas. While many researchers find the genetic evidence intriguing, others continue to explore alternative explanations. That's how science works, through evidence, testing, and debate. Whether the bottleneck was exactly this severe or not, one truth is undeniable. Humanity survived countless climate shifts, disasters, and challenges. Every civilization, invention, and scientific breakthrough exists Because our ancestors endured when survival seemed almost impossible. If you could travel back through your family tree generation after generation, you would eventually arrive at those ancient survivors. Their courage, adaptability, and determination echo through every one of us. In many ways, their story is our story. The day humanity was reduced to only a few thousand people may have been the closest our species ever came to disappearing forever. Yet from those survivors came every language, every culture, every civilization, and every dream that followed. Our greatest inheritance isn't written in stone or steel, it's written in our DNA. Against impossible odds, humanity survived. And that's why we're here today. What do you think was the greatest challenge our ancestors faced? Climate, hunger, or something we still haven't discovered? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe to Milo Studios for more cinematic documentaries exploring the greatest mysteries and survival stories in human history.